Wonderful. Well, welcome everybody to the Career and Professional Development info session. You know many of the participants. They've been on many of our accepted student events, and this is going to be a little bit more casual in nature in that you're able to type in the chat and this is a meeting versus a webinar, so I think it's a provide you more accessibility, so to speak. And so we are going to be getting started momentarily. What I do ask everybody to do, as I always do, is I think the chat button is open now. So feel free to type in the chat where you are joining us from. It's just our shameless way of making sure the audio is working and everybody can hear us well. So feel free to type in the chat box where you are joining us from. City, state, zip code, joking on the zip code, but you can definitely share with us which program you've been accepted to. We'd love to see that. And yeah, buckle up. You're going to be in for a great show with our phenomenal career team.
It's a show.
It is a show.
All right.
Yay, Allegra. Allegra, you're in Edinburgh now. I had no idea. I love it. Nathan's in Boston. Jersey Strong, Nathan. Bangar's in New Delhi. So glad you can join, Bangar. Crown Heights, Brooklyn. Cormac, you know the drill. We need details. We need all sorts of details when it comes to NYC. Scott's in Brooklyn, welcome. Jacob, NYC is not sufficient. You know that. We need more details. We need Morningside Heights. Let's see here. Eric's in NYC. Eric, go ahead and give us the details. We love them. Marie Therese in Munich, welcome. Hope's in St. Andrews, Scotland. We have a lot of St. Andrews alum. Love St. Andrews. Alexis in Miami. Alexa, I'm a Florida native. Bangalore. Hamsini, so glad you can make it. Baptiste in France. Welcome, welcome. Sophie's in Davidson, North Carolina. Zahir's in Boston, Mass. Another Morningside Heights. Excellent, welcome. We have Virginia in the house. Ethan's in Montreal. Josie in Richmond. Josie, we're so happy you're joining us. Both Jacob and I are so happy you're joining us. Mumbai. We've got Nairobi represented. Joyce Faith, welcome. Mariama's in Boston. We got good Boston representation. West Village, okay, loving it. Downtown moments, and then more West Village, phenomenal. Evans in Barcelona. Home of Oklahoma City, home of the NBA champs. That's right. For the basketball fans here. Grace said, would love to get a. Oh, sorry. I started reading. My apologies. Mexico's Miranda, Mexico City. Carnegie Hill, welcome. More Bangalore, Lima, Peru. Excellent. All right, this is an awesome, awesome crowd. So, without further ado, what I'm going to go ahead and do, and then of course Ali in Istanbul. Welcome, Ali. So glad that you're with us. So what I'm going to do now is hand over the mic to our fearless leader in the career management team, the one, the only, Mindy Levinson, who is going to go ahead and share with you more insights about the team and share her phenomenal and resources. And of course, you're going to hear from the phenomenal team members, both in the career management team and the celebrity appearance of Caitlin. Sorry, I always say the celebrity appearance. Caitlin's works very closely with our professional development arm and our alumni arm. So you're going to hear a lot from Caitlin as well. So take it away, Mindy.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Alfred. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're joining us from. I am excited to be here with all of you today. And again, I want to offer a huge congratulations on your admission. We're thrilled to welcome you to the Columbia Climate School community. So as we get started, I do want to acknowledge that some of you may have joined a previous admitted student webinar or came to and attended our in-person event. So parts of this may feel very familiar to you. For others, this may be your first time hearing this overview. So either way, we're really glad you're here, and we'll make sure that this is both helpful and engaging for you. So here's what we're going to do today. First, I'll start with team introductions, so you know who we are. Then I'll go through the resources and professional development support that's available to you should you join us. We'll talk about personalized career support and the types of events we offer. We'll spend some time on experiential learning, including capstones and internships. We'll also talk about some on-campus work opportunities. We'll share some recent student career outcomes, so you get a sense of where students have landed from our MA in Climate and Society program, since we don't have data for the other programs yet. And then we're going to open it up for Q&A. It doesn't only have to be in the chat, whatever you're more comfortable. I would love at the end if we all get off camera and just start talking to each other. So we are here to chat with you. Next slide. So I'm going to start with me. And share a little bit about myself. My name is Mindy Levinson. I joined the Columbia Climate School almost 2 years ago. So I'll be celebrating my 2-year anniversary this April. Before joining the Climate School, I spent nearly 12 years at Columbia School of Engineering and Applied Science as the Director of Career Placement, supporting 5 master's programs. And prior to working in academia, I spent 23 years in the executive search business, including running my own firm in the technology center. So career sector, excuse me. So career development and helping people navigate their professional paths has truly been a lifelong passion of mine. I love working with students. I love helping them discuss and translate their skills and interests into impactful career opportunities. So with that, I'm going to introduce you to the rest of the career team. We have Ava Rupert. Ava comes from a background in sales and recruiting, connecting talent with opportunities across the tech and healthcare sectors. And she's been supporting our students at the Climate School for a little over 2 years. Next is Gerald Kotianko. Gerald and I have actually known each other for over 10 years. We first started working together at Columbia's engineering school before reconnecting here at the Climate School. And they've spent over 8 years building industry partnerships and supporting students in their career journeys. And last but not least, our newest team member, Grace Ling. Grace brings over 15 years of experience across financial services, technology, and sustainability, including roles at Merrill Lynch, BNP Paribas, and several Bay Area fintech companies before earning her master's in sustainability management at Columbia. So this is the team that you'll work very closely with. They work with all of our students throughout your time here to support you in your professional development and career exploration. And in addition, as Alfred mentioned, we have a guest star, Caitlin Sorrow. We work very closely with Caitlin. She's part of the academic affairs team and supports a range of professional development initiatives for students and alumni, including skills seminars. She runs single-handedly our Capstone program and mentorship program, and also does alumni engagement. So the next slide. So now I'm going to walk you through some of the career resources and professional development opportunities that are available to you should you decide to join the Climate School, which of course I hope you do. But you'll have access to this wide range of career resources designed to support you through your time here and beyond. I just mentioned and introduced you to our dedicated career team. So you have a dedicated career management office. We begin working with you actually before you get here. Should you join us, we'll be making contact with you over the summer for some pre-summer activity before you get here. And then once you arrive on campus, we support you throughout your time in the program and even post-graduation. So alumni still come to us as well. Throughout the year, we host employer information sessions where organizations come speak directly with students about their work, their mission, and potential career opportunities. This past fall, we had 31. Now we're into the spring, and we're still counting a number more. I don't know how many we've had so far, but we do this on a rolling basis. So yesterday we just had a career talk panel on impact investing, which was fantastic. We also organize alumni career talks and panel discussions. We have a weekly, what we call our Down to Earth Career Talk series, where we bring in alums, but we also bring in practitioners from the field to talk about what they do. They were once in your position, so they're now working across different areas of the climate and sustainability space. So they come in and share their own professional career journeys with you. You'll also receive individualized resume and cover letter feedback. Will help you tailor your resume to specific targeted job opportunities. We offer mock interviews to help you prepare when you're interviewing for internships or full-time roles. And another opportunity available to students is the Alumni Mentorship Program, which I mentioned that Caitlin runs, where students can be paired with professionals in the field who provide guidance, perspective, and expanding your networking support, networking opportunities. Throughout the year, we also offer sustainability skills seminars, which focus on developing specific professional or technical skills that employers are seeking, such as a LEED certification, GIS, mapping, different tools, project finance related tools if you're interested. And students can even suggest some, and we'll try and accommodate where it makes sense. We also recently just held our Climate and Sustainability Career Expo. That's the expo where students had the opportunity to meet and network with a wide range of employers working in climate, sustainability, energy, finance, consulting, and many related sectors. And this evening, we have a virtual China career fair that we are holding in collaboration with our Beijing global centers. I think we expect 8 employers to be attending. It's held on the Tencent platform. Employers present what they do, and then they will have their breakout rooms. That event is done in Mandarin. And finally, we have a job board that we post jobs that are specifically targeted towards students' interests, career trajectories from the climate school and our partner programs. And this is something that we are constantly working on and posting jobs on a daily basis. So they're very targeted towards the types of roles that our students have typically gone after. And now I'll hand the mic over to my colleague, Grace Ling, who will take a deeper dive into the type of one-on-one career support that you'll be receiving.
Great. Thank you so much, Mindy. Thank you, Mindy and Alfred, for the introductions. Again, welcome. Congratulations on your admittance to everyone. So as you can tell from what Mindy already covered, a lot goes into career and professional development. So I'd like to just quickly anchor everyone in our model of thinking when it comes to personalized career support. So as Mindy mentioned, when you join the program, you're going to be assigned a dedicated coach, but of course, you're welcome to meet with any one of us. And these coaching sessions can be virtual or in person. Um, so when we work with students, we basically think about career development across 5 key areas. One of them is discovering your direction. A lot of you are going to come in, trying to figure out like what your path is, what exactly do you want to pursue after graduation and grad school. So we work with you in terms of clarifying your interests, trying to understand your strengths, and also brainstorming in terms of the types of industries or corporations or types of roles that you may want to consider. Um, Once that is in a more solidified place, we really want to be able to work with you to craft your narrative. So that includes translating your experience into impact stories. That means editing and tailoring your resume, your cover letters, your LinkedIn. We want to be able to help craft a narrative that is consistent in terms of where you want to head after the program. And another key thing in terms of career support and also your professional development is we really encourage students to start building out your network. And oftentimes this happens early on even before you start the program, when you begin the program. You want to start building relationships with industry practitioners in the types of organizations and areas that you're interested in early on, not just when you're starting to look for an internship or a job. So building relationships early on is very, very important, and we're here to help you strategize in terms of targeting your outreach, how to reach out to people, and also, of course, follow-ups. And then, of course, when the opportunity comes, we are here, as Mindy mentioned, to help you through mock interviews, negotiating offers, and we really want to, you know, create a space where you can practice with us so that when you're out there in the world, and going through your interviews, you can feel confident and prepared in terms of the types of questions that you might be asked. And then as part of your career journey, either starting with us or after the program, one key thing is learning how to sustain your momentum through all this. There are a lot of moving pieces that goes into your job search, your internship search, and career development. So it's really critical to, one, pace yourself, start early, and also be kind to yourself along the way. The job searching process is a bit of a roller coaster. So we want to help you build those skills in terms of like resiliency. So also it's very important for us that we instill these skills in you and help you develop those skills so that even when you leave Columbia, years out for now, depending on where your career evolves, like these are toolkits that and skills that you'll be able to come back to and utilize again. So in our next slide, um, another major part of our work, as Bindi already touched upon, is actually employer engagement and programming. So 50% of our time here is working with you one-on-one. The other half is actually reaching out to employers in various industries, often informed by student meetings and surveys, what's going on in the market. So we also collect resumes from students and share with our employers as well, so in order to get first look. And of course, the events that Mindy mentioned in terms of bringing in employers for fireside chats. We have that down to earth career talk sessions that we have. We have workshops. Of course, we have the Career Expo. So on the other side of working with you one-on-one, we're really trying to cultivate those employer relationships. So to help students get networking opportunities and practice networking, and also get first look when there's opportunities that come our way. So the main takeaway that I would like the students, well, I'd like you guys to have is that working with the career development team is truly a partnership. So the students who really get the most out of our office and our support are the ones who are actively engaging with coaching, networking, and our programming. So just keep in mind that the amount of effort and your intention and your curiosity, those are really the key ingredients that are going to help this partnership truly succeed. And that's what's going to help drive your career growth. And from there, I'll hand it over to Ava to talk about experiential learning. Oh, sorry, I jumped ahead. These are actually just a quick glance in terms of the type of industries and organizations that we're able to engage with in fall of 2025 and also spring of 2026. This is not the complete list, there's more to come. But as you can see here, the organizations that we engage with touch across a variety of industries. And this is just extremely reflective of how climate work is at the intersection of all these various industries, and there is a place for everyone and the types of roles. Um, so this is a quick snapshot in terms of the areas that you would be exposed to through our career talks and guest speakers. And from that, I will now pass it on to Ava.
It's actually going to be me,
Oh, it's going to you? Okay.
guest star.
Correction.
So I'm very excited to chat with you all about how experiential learning or skills-based application of what you learn in the classroom is a component of whatever degree you're in. So the third semester no matter what program you're in, will be either a capstone, it's the MA. If it's the MS in climate finance, it will be a capstone or something called a summer practicum. And for the MS in climate, that would be the summer practicum in your third semester. But then also, since it's a 2-year degree, you do a spring capstone. And so these are opportunities for you to take what you've learned in the classroom and work on a real world project. If we go to the next slide, I can describe a little bit more what that looks like. So the capstone, no matter what time you're doing it, will be roughly 12 weeks long. And it is a group project. So you get to work almost as a mini consulting team with your fellow teammates on like a real world problem with a client. These clients come from a variety of sources and different scales. So some of them are for-profits, nonprofits. We as the team, when you start the semester, the academic year, I should say, we put out a call for our own professional network, from our faculty's professional network, and also you as students. If you wanted to recommend a climate client for a capstone, we work with them as well to develop a great, robust set. And actually, if you are a student with us this time next year, this is the time in which the students are looking at the different capstone proposals and ranking which ones they would like to work on. So just before this, we were talking a bit about that with our current students. So as a little consulting team, you develop a work plan, you have a faculty advisor who helps to shepherd that work plan and maybe fill in some of the gaps if there's a certain skill set or a knowledge area that you need to develop. But the capstone groups are really an opportunity for you to either flex a skill that you already have or to develop a new skill. The groups are based on an inventory that you take of not only your rankings of what you'd be interested in working on, but what are some skills you'd like to work on, since it is still a safe learning environment. So we were talking about a GIS skills seminar, something that we offer. Maybe the capstone is an opportunity for you to build some robust GIS skills. And because it's a group project, the deliverable at the end is very robust and something you can put in your professional portfolio. So I will quickly reference that these are a couple of our recent capstone clients, and there's a website shared here as well where you can look at the videos of the final presentations from the last couple of years. But I'll emphasize again that the capstone clients and the projects themselves change, and they're responsive to the interests of the students and to the outside world. Like this year, we would have a couple of projects potentially that involve AI and how that can be applied in a sustainable and conscientious way, but still as part of assessments. And with that, I can answer any questions in the chat, but I think we're going to move to on-campus work opportunities, and Ava will share more.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you, Caitlin and Grace. I'm just going to mention some of our diverse on-campus work opportunities. As you can see, we have a very wide range, and there's a lot of opportunities both within the Climate School, but also across our partner programs and within other schools and departments at Columbia as well. So I'll just start with the Climate School Internship Program. These are going to be both administrative and research roles offered across the Columbia Climate School centers and projects. For example, we have a couple really great career management interns. We have admissions interns. We have academic affairs interns, events interns. So there's a lot of really great opportunities to get involved, both kind of, again, on the academic side as well as the research side. That takes me into the collaborative research grant. So this is going to be student-driven research. Students will identify a topic and then work with a supervisor to kind of flesh it out and develop that. The only kind of note with these ones are these are designated for full-time students only, so you do have to be enrolled as a full-time student for both the research grant as well as the next opportunity, which is the Summer Research Experience Program. So these will take place only in the summer, and similarly, you do have to be a full-time student. And then finally, we have just some of our additional opportunities from, again, the Climate School centers as well as the partner programs. All of these opportunities are shared every week in our Wednesday weekly newsletter. And then we also have our teaching assistantships in our partner program courses as well. And those can happen both in the fall, spring, or summer. Just a quick note for the internship positions, those will be announced mid-August. So those will be announced before you come here and begin. And those applications will close around September 11th. And so, orientation and the beginning of the year can be a bit hectic, but I would definitely make a note to make sure that you're checking for all of those openings and those positions. All of these positions are competitive and not necessarily guaranteed, but we really do make a very concerted effort to offer as many opportunities as possible, and give you guys chances to work with different professors and on different teams as well. So with that, I'm going to pass it along to my wonderful colleague, Gerald.
Thanks, Ava. Hi, everyone, and congratulations again. So I'll be closing up our presentation portion, and then we'll move to Q&A. And so I'll be sharing the outcomes for our recent graduates and our alumni. So as you all know, the MS in Climate and the MS in Climate Finance are new programs. So we don't yet have employment data, but we can share with you the data from our MA in Climate and Society program, which has been running for years. And it offers great examples of like the jobs and areas that different students have entered into. So with this slide, you can see that what our placement rate is at the 6 month mark. This is for this previous class, 88% are employed or continuing their education, and that's based on a 79% knowledge rate. And yeah, and you can see here too that most of our graduates stayed in the U.S. 86% of them stayed in the U.S. and half of those stayed in New York. So you can move to the next slide. So these are it's just a sector breakdown. And as you can see, graduates work across all the major sectors. This past year, 40% went into nonprofit or NGOs and 31% into the private sector. The year prior, actually, it was more students going into the private sector than the nonprofit sector, but over the years, it's kind of just balanced out. Those are the two primary sectors people move into. And then here you can see about 17% work in government, and then a smaller share continue into research roles or further their academic studies. Next slide, please. And this is just getting a little bit more granular about the different fields. This, as you can tell, like students can really move into any area because climate is more of a lens instead of like a sector or industry. So it's a lens that you can really apply to any sector, any industry, any sort of issues that you're interested in. So I always say like a slide like this, it really hinges on the composition of the student body, like who makes up the student body, what are their backgrounds, their goals, their interests. And so like the inaugural class of the climate school, for example, they went into 38 different fields. So it can vary quite a lot. But this was just from the previous class. As you can see, climate intersects with everything. So again, it just depends on the individual. You can see here government, public administration is the largest category, followed by energy, academia, research, communications, media, community-based organizations. But you'll see roles in areas like sustainable finance, consulting, climate tech policy, and corporate sustainability. Next slide, please. So this is where alumni work. So just zooming out a little bit, like I mentioned, Climate Society has been around for a number of years. So we have alumni in a lot of different areas. So again, you can see a lot of diversity. We have like the World Bank, Nature Conservancy, McKinsey. We also have governments, city governments. Um, we actually, we mentioned earlier the Career Expo that we just did, and a third of the employers actually came from state and city government agencies. And then you can also see research programs like US Global Change Research Program. And so, anyways, the roles themselves are quite varied. So, policy analysts, sustainability consultants, environmental scientists, climate data specialists, science communicators. So, again, takeaway here isn't that there's one defined climate job, it's that climate work shows up across many sectors and professions. Next slide, please. And so this is the final slide. This is, again, getting more granular. These are just some of the individuals from the previous class. So these are just some examples of different roles they've taken on and the areas they work in, which can be renewable energy research, climate finance, international development, again, government, clean energy project development. So what I like about these slides is it just again shows you how different students carve out different paths depending on their interests and backgrounds. So I think you get the point that all of this conveys that students that climate careers that students move into, it's very diverse, very evolving. People enter this space from many different disciplines, from like policy, science, finance, comms, engineering, and so often they're building careers that combine those experiences, those skills with climate work. And so our role here on the career team is just to help, students explore these possibilities. We're always trying to push like on the contours of what you think are possible, and obviously trying to help you get connected with your target field, people who are doing the work that you think matters. So that's really what we're excited to help you do. And with that, um, we're happy to take questions.
Yeah, perhaps we can just get off, take the slide deck out and just, for people who can, open up your cameras if you can. Feel free to, yes, like let's make this as interactive as possible. Great, great. I see the name iPhone up there. So do we want to start with iPhone? And you can take yourself off audio or if we can see you, whatever. We don't care if you have bedhead or whatever, wherever you're coming in from.
Definitely have bedhead today, so will not be coming on camera, but hi. My question is, so I've been kind of doing a lot of due diligence before accepting the offer, and I met with a recruiter in the sustainability and climate space. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of the executive search firm Acre. But I met with a recruiter from there, and I just kind of wanted to get her take on what the market looks like and whether she thinks that a pivot like this into the program would make sense and like set me up for success for the types of roles I would like. And her answer was like very deflating, and she kind of said that, this is a very niche space, and like right now she's seeing in like the private markets for roles in climate and sustainability that like people who are even at director levels are competing with analysts, like they're applying for analyst roles, and so the space is very competitive. That's something that really obviously took me back, and so she kind of wrapped up by saying that she thinks that the market might open up a bit more in like 3 years. I'm assuming that's probably kind of in line with like a new administration or something, but I'm curious to get your take on kind of, like the competitiveness of the market, and that, there isn't really a lot of roles for climate finance professionals, especially if you're looking to go like the private route.
Uh, was it Gloria? Were you talking to Gloria?
Allegra.
Okay, I don't know Allegra. I know Gloria, but it's a competitive market. I mean, that is a fact. A lot of this depends on what you're coming into the program with. It depends on your experience and background too. And as I know Grace and Gerald and maybe even Ava mentioned, some of it's about what you put into it. Um, do remember that search firms are getting paid hefty fees. So if the market is super competitive, they might not be seeing as much business because people don't want to pay those hefty fees. I was in that business for many, many years, so there are always downturns. Um, Unfortunately, we don't have data for our MS and climate finance students yet because this is the first year that we launched the program. But I do feel in my heart of hearts, one is what are you coming in here with? And that's an individual question for each person because there is no cookie cutter background. Students come from very diverse backgrounds who join these programs, whether it's climate finance or any of the other programs, but also how much work you put into it. Um, if you're willing to network, if you're willing to connect with people, and starting even now, it's just about planting seeds and having discussions and just talking and meeting as many people as you can and telling them what you're looking for and gathering information and hearing multiple perspectives. And it starts to, and I think being flexible, to be honest, you may not get that first choice BlackRock, position or Goldman position or what, and that happens a lot. You don't always start in the bulge bracket firms in general. That's just the way it is. But you need to be flexible and open on location, on the type of opportunity, and what will get you to that ultimate next step. If it's buying time for a new administration. I mean, I honestly am not hearing that people aren't doing anything. I'm hearing that they're still moving forward. I think they're just a lot quieter about it. And so the trick is, the strategy that you use to uncover those opportunities. I'm going to stop and see if my team can add any more from their experience.
Yeah, I'd love to chime in as well. I completely agree with everything that Mindy said. Um, and on the flip side, like, yes, it is competitive. But you mentioned climate finance. Climate finance, just like climate and sustainability, it's really, really broad. If that recruiting firm is referring to like corporate sustainability or like ESG type of roles, that's a tough market right now. I'm not going to lie, especially in the US. But what's also been happening is you're if you're like Googling for a job or on LinkedIn and you're typing in sustainability or climate finance, the roles that pop up with those keywords are probably going to be like very, very few. But that's also like an indication of how the industry has now evolved to. It's less about that thematic sense that Gerald was mentioning, but climate work is actually getting integrated into functional roles. For example, project development, yes, project development and infrastructure and energy, that is actually, you know, there's still a lot of traction, especially in the US. So if you're thinking about climate finance, pro project finance is actually like a critical component that is part of climate finance. So again, to echo what Mindy said, it really depends on where it is that you're actually targeting, and also like the types of firms. So a lot of folks, at least in this first cohort that I've been seeing when I ask students like, what firms are you interested in? They're thinking about the bulge bracket firms, the BlackRocks, the JP Morgans, etc. That's going to be competitive. But those firms are not the only ones that are working in infrastructure deals. There's also New York Green Bank. There's development banks. There's multilaterals. So there's a lot of different angles, and that is part of the work that we really encourage all of our students to do as well. You really have to go in a layer deeper and do your research in terms of understanding the landscape. Because at first glance, just at the news and your first like Google search of climate finance in general, it could look bleak, but you really need to dig a little further under the hood. So that's, defining the type of industry, the type of role, the type of skill set you want to continue to develop and pursue. And with that, there is that storytelling component of connecting the dots for other people when you are networking in terms of the types of role you're interested in. So that type of clarity will have to come from all job applicants right now, whether or not you have a degree or not. It's whether you're seasoned or junior. That's kind of like the lay of the land, especially in the US right now. You have to be very clear on what your narrative is. I hope
And
that was
I think
helpful.
that was very helpful, and I think it resonates a lot. I think the only follow-up I had was for this upcoming cohort. do you guys see yourselves bringing on like some of the bulge bracket players like a BlackRock or a GIP and Goldman Sachs? Because I'm really curious about that.
I think it's more, they're not going to come to the climate school to recruit. Like we're not an MBA program. That doesn't mean that we don't have one of us or some of us have connections
Hmm.
within these organizations that perhaps we can make an introduction to at times. And if they're not the right person, maybe they can help us navigate that environment because that's really how you need to do it. I've been lately saying to people that if you're applying to the job when you see it posted, it's already too late because it's so competitive. So I take a different approach, and I'm not going to share all my secrets unless you join us. But I really think you need to think about the organizations. I'm not going to say not I'll never say never go for what you really want if that's what you're looking for. But I do say remain flexible and open because there are other places that will get you there. It may not be that first role, and it may, but I think it's going to be more individualized connections. Some of these places have very, very structured internship programs for MBAs or directed towards undergrads. Master's students have always been an asset class that's a little bit different when it comes to recruiting at these firms. It's just my experience, even from engineering.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add real quick, because I know there's other questions, but just to add on a couple things, that what Grace mentioned about like different terms being used, like that's what we're hearing from a lot of our guest speakers, is that maybe the word sustainability or climate is not used, but it is part of the job. Other words that you can look for are going to be like risk and resilience and responsible business. So I just want to flag that some of the terminology might have shifted. And so the other thing I wanted to say is that climate, as I was presenting, like you can basically apply that lens anywhere. And so it's like a double-edged sword. It's like it can be crippling, paralyzing because you're like, wow, I have decision paralysis. Where should I go? Because I could go anywhere. But then the flip side of that is that when there's like economic downturns or it's like it's not that everything is hit equally the same. Like there are some areas that might still be doing okay or even better. And with climate, you can have that flexibility to pivot. Like I was just talking to a recent grad who originally came for food systems, for agriculture. But because his priorities shifted, he wanted to stay in New York City, for example. Now he's doing clean energy research. So he's able to make that pivot because he can apply what he's learned here in that area instead.
Okay, how about Mitchell?
All right. Hi.
Mitchell.
I'd like to ask how long does it take on average for climate school graduates to get a job? And how well does the program prepare you for getting a job?
Um, just, I mean, I don't have an average. I mean, an average job search in general takes 6 months. Some take less, some take more. A 1 year program is very, very quick. So I suggest starting to network now. And that means just talking to people. Obviously, you can't apply for a full-time role right now because it they want people to be able to start as soon as possible, but you can start networking, you can start discussing what you're looking for, get more knowledge, do more research, have a better understanding. Is this even the field you really want to go into, just to help you target what you really want. I'm not saying that you can't look for multiple targets, but you really want to try and narrow down your search as much as possible so you're not all over the place. And I think by speaking to people, what happens is each conversation, it's a process. You start to learn from those people. You learn about industry terminology. You learn about the trends. You learn about multiple perspectives of how different people are viewing things. you start to learn, do I even want that anymore? Because sometimes I think one of my colleagues mentioned students come here with one idea of what they want to do and leave with a very different idea, and they pivot while they're here. So um, I want to say that you would need to really take advantage of our coaching and our one-on-one coaching. We're always pushing that out. We'd give you a dedicated career coach that will be your first go-to advisor, but you can go to any of us at any time. So we work very closely together, and we'll help you where we can. We support you, but you really, as my colleague Gerald says all the time, you need to own your search. We can't hand you jobs. I wish we could, but it's a partnership, and it is what you put into it. It is what you come in with. It is you know, how hard are you willing? It is work getting work. It just is. There's no easy answer. Anyone else want to take a stab?
Yeah, I'd love to add if I may. Um, well, one, again, echo everything Mindy said. And Mitchell, I just want to say, so I've gone through like a master's program. I think going through a master's program definitely sets candidates, especially like if you're coming from a well-known university, it sets candidates apart, but it's not going to be your ticket to a job, right? It's not going to be a silver platter to a job. It's still up to you to find that target of like exactly the area that you're interested in looking for. And it's okay to not know now, but that's where the on the grounds research in terms like looking into companies and organizations, that's where that's like a lot of the work that like you'll have to do. And unfortunately, we can't do it for you because everyone's different. And also like a bit of reflection in terms of like your strengths and networking again. And another key piece is practicing and learning how to connect what you're learning in the program to what you're interested in, and also how that's going to benefit an employer, because ultimately employers are hiring people to help themselves solve a problem. So that's where us as a career team really want to help students in that type of like coaching. So you have like the academic side in terms of like what you're learning in class. Of course, the professors are going to be a great resource in terms of like connecting you. But even like once you're connected to someone, it's still up to you to, shoot that shot and be clear on your story. But that's where the careers team can be your like practice ground, and we can give you that feedback. So again, it's we don't have direct numbers because there's so many dependencies in terms of that numbers, in terms of like placement at this point, especially in this job market. But a huge function is the amount of ownership that you're taking around your job search. So with us or not with us, this is something you'll have to keep in mind no matter what.
I want to mention one other thing. We are big on experiential learning or experiential practicums, especially for early career people. I don't know where you are, Mitchell, in your career, so I'm not directing this
I'm
towards
still
you.
an undergrad, so
Okay, so I think those are when you work on a substantive project, or maybe you take on something, even if you do a self-directed project, these are skill sets once that you can start applying the skills that you're learning in the classroom in a real world way that will help you get to that next level or share a story. Like, hey, I've done this project, and it helps increase your marketability when you're out there looking for an opportunity. So we're big on that in that way, and that's why we offer capstones. Caitlin's amazing at getting some great projects. Everybody contributes, where we can, because we're always talking to employers. But you can take advantage of that or do something self-directed or do research. So there's a lot of opportunities to start to apply what you're learning in the classroom. And again, as Grace said, it's up to you. It's what you put in also. But we are here to support you in that way.
okay. that's very helpful. That clears a lot of my anxiety, and I think I've already started looking at like what companies I'd be interested in working at, such as like the Nature Conservancy or more of a corporate job. So that in like that is improving its sustainability or something like that, or advocating for sustainability. So I think that I'm gonna be well prepared for that through Columbia Climate School, but I'm already thinking about what I want to do with my
That
degree and keeping
that's
options open.
that's great, Mitchell. I'm so sorry. For purposes of time, I do want to make sure the career team continues answering questions, but I do appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. Okay.
All right, that's all I have left to say. I have to go
Thank
now.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mitchell. Hamsini? Hamsini?
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much for this session. I hope I'm audible. So I had a couple of questions related somewhat to the first question that was asked. So I'm coming in from a background that is not actually related to climate or finance or development. I'm just wondering if the team has any specific advice for students that are pivoting into climate finance from something that's completely unrelated. So for context, my background is in mathematics and data visualization and analytics, and I would love to go into multilateral sort of jobs. That's really what I'm interested in right now. Of course, I'm open to other things. So that is one question that I have. The second question is, what would you say the impact of AI has been on the field, both in terms of innovations, but also in terms of things like job cuts that we keep hearing about on the news? So thank you so much.
Can I hand that to you, Grace, since you know fintech? Or am I putting you on the spot?
Sorry, I was trying to answer a question in the chat.
Oh, goodness.
But let me
Okay.
know if I'm not answering the question fully because my brain was a little
Well, one
split.
is I think her data visualization and her math, all of those skill sets that you're coming in with are extremely marketable skills that I think already give you an advantage, even if you haven't had the financial piece. So you're going to learn the fundamental finance piece from here. You're going to learn the climate science piece from the climate school. Um, you can't throw away your prior experience because that's very, in my mind, just what I heard you say, coming from engineering, it's very marketable if I heard correctly. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay.
Sorry, I heard a piece about how's AI changing like the job market as
Oh,
well.
sorry.
Um, yeah, I would say like yeah, headlines are super scary, especially the ones targeting like tech companies. So in that sense, like tech companies, there are a lot of software engineers and what's happening is a lot of junior software engineering roles are they're limited now because that's something that like AI can take. But that is what you see in the headlines is not necessarily reflective of every single type of organization. Not every single organization is as like software engineering heavy. Um, but I do think that because that you have this like data analytics background, that does give you a leg up in terms of like learning about more about these like AI tools. I think I would recommend all students, everyone, even non-students, to start polishing up in terms of like adopting, using AI tools, Claude, how can you integrate into your workflow? Um, I have been seeing depending on the type of role, that being like a nice to have. And I wouldn't be surprised, 5 years down the line where it becomes just like, a standard knowledge that people should have, such as like using Excel and Microsoft Word. But I wouldn't like discount your past experience. If anything, I think your past experience is a leverage because you already have a technical mindset. So if anything, I think you can learn things pretty quickly and showcase your skills, especially for teams who are lacking that technical capability.
Thank you.
Miriam?
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much for having this event. I wanted to know for international students, what is the likelihood of them being able to find work in the States and staying in the States? Or do you know if the skills at Columbia are also transferable to go back to their home country?
Again, I think some of the same rules hold in terms of just how much are you willing to put in, how much are you willing to network. Oftentimes, being an international student, you don't have as large of a homegrown network here that a domestic student would already have. But that does, students who are international have gotten jobs here in the US. I will say it's challenging. It always has been, even when I was working at the engineering school. It was challenging there. You have to cast a wider net. You have to be open and flexible. I also think, there's been a lot of noise about international students, and some companies have shied away. So, maybe not always only targeting large organizations, but sometimes cutting through the red tape is a lot easier in a smaller organization. Even though some people think they won't get H-1B sponsorship, you have 3 years that you can work here under your OPT. So that might mean starting out doing, I don't know what program you're in, but maybe you're looking at research, or maybe you're doing a fellowship, or maybe you're looking at grant related positions, again, to buy more time to continue to search until that market loosens up again. I've seen peaks and valleys where companies will sponsor and then next year they won't, and it's different positions. And so it all depends, but I wouldn't make again, it's about flexibility, and it's about what you're willing to put into that search, and networking piece of it.
So international students, they don't need to find a job like immediately after the degree and the program finishes. I'm in the climate and society program. That's what I was
If
accepted to.
yeah, if you
So because that's only 1 year, if I can't find a job afterwards, you say I have 3 years to be able to find work
No, no, no,
in the
no.
States?
All of our programs are STEM programs. So over the summer, you use what's called curricular practical training if you want to do a summer internship, or if your program allows you to do a summer internship. Capstone, it's different for each individual program. But once you graduate, you have the option to exercise optional practical training, or what's called OPT. And when you would apply for that, I think it's like, don't quote me on this. This is our ISSO's job, but I think it's 60 or 90 days before your graduation date.
90 days.
90 days that you can apply for OPT. It asks you for a start date. If you're coming close to offers at that point, you might put a closer start date. But if you're not, like, and there's also, some guidelines of the latest start date that you can put. But you do have 90 days from whatever that start date was to find a full-time job, or a part-time job, or an internship, or research. So you do have 90 days until, you would have to either, there's not real restrictions on what you do here, but you can do things to, stay here even longer if you're working like an internship or whatever. So there are ways to do it. You have 3 years, up to 3 years, a minimum 1 year, with a maximum of an additional 2 years. So up to 3 years that you can work for an employer without requiring any type of visa sponsorship. That's what I meant.
Okay.
I hope that's clear, more clear. If I'm more clear there. Sorry.
Yeah, so then for the OPT, so I would have to apply for it, let's say 90 days before the end of the program or before the start of the job.
Yes, you apply for it 90 days, as early as 90 days before your program ends. So that's you like if you're in the MA in Climate Society, that's going to be like late May is the earliest you can apply for OPT, which you want to do because OPT can take like 2 months or more to get. So that's why you apply early. And then, as Mindy said, once your OPT starts, you have a cumulative 90 days of to look for a job.
Okay, so I have 90 days before the program and then 90 days after OPT starts to find work.
Whatever your start date is that you put. That's something that you select, but there are guidelines. There are certain restrictions, but you would select that start date. So it's 90 days from the day you get your EAD, what's called an EAD card, this is way premature to start talking about that.
Okay. All right. And I also had another question just regarding like scholarships and things like that for international students. I've tried looking online, and a lot of the scholarship options ask for information about what universities you go to, and they give only American university options. And so I wanted to know if there's like a way to go around that because I wasn't able to find like there was no other option.
Hey,
So I just wanted to
so
get some 2 cents.
I'm so sorry to interrupt, Miriam. So today's session is focusing on careers, but you and
Of
I
course.
definitely can have a conversation around financial aid and scholarships, okay? Absolutely.
Okay. Sorry. Thank you.
And I think the final, if we can squeeze one quick question from Ahmed. Yes. Oh,
If you could also do Julian, I'm so sorry.
oh, sorry, I missed
It's
Julian.
okay.
Okay, Julian, sorry.
Thanks, Alfred, and
Sorry
thanks
about that.
everyone for the information today. I actually really appreciate the candor. My question is regarding someone who was accepted into the climate finance program, and it's kind of general. As a couple people alluded to today, like climate is a general topic, and climate finance also covers many things. From what I understand, there hasn't really been career data that has been released from climate finance students because it's such a new program. So what I was kind of curious about would be um, kind of how widely can this be applied to other things? For example, let's say someone was interested in infrastructure investing. How would climate finance position them towards that? Although obviously climate is a part of infrastructure, it's not the whole thing, but just wanted to know kind of what your thoughts would be on something like that. Thanks.
Yeah, hi Julian. Thank you so much for that question. There's actually quite a few students who are interested in infrastructure, particularly like project finance. Um, I will say the first half of the course is going to be based more in the climate school, the the science behind climate change, and then your core classes in the second half is going to be more in the business school. Um, from what I'm hearing from current students is that for the ones who have elected project finance courses, they're finding it very applicable to the types of roles and internships that they're applying to. So it's like hands-on experience working with models. Um, with that said, I would say there there is a bit of like a timing consideration and also depends on like what you're already coming in with. For the students that I've seen who have been able to secure like internship interviews and potential like job interviews like early on, they're already coming in with a level of financial background, perhaps not in project finance or infrastructure, but in a related role that requires some modeling expertise. Um, so with that said, you do get more of that modeling exposure in in your core business school classes, and also if you elect classes like, such as like project finance. So it really depends on like where your background's coming from. Like if you're starting from finance from like scratch, that is you're probably going to need to take some supplemental courses just to like get yourself more up to speed and showcase modeling skills. But if you're already coming with some sort of financial services background, that positions you a little better. And coupled with like the science part of the program, that's that added benefit that you're bringing in into like the lens of your job prospects. Does that help, Julian?
Helps a lot. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, our final question with Ahmed. Sorry about before.
Hi, I'm sorry I came in a bit late. If you guys still have time, thank you for entertaining me. And I apologize if you've already covered it. If you've already covered the question, then just let me know. Then and I'll listen to it in the recording. But I wanted to ask. So I've already been working with some firms that are based in the New York, in the New Jersey area. There's Refugee Solidarity Network, etc. So while we're at Columbia, the 20-hour thing, is that only for on-campus jobs, or can we work perhaps say off-campus with that existing firm as well? Say for if they wanted to conduct research, etc. or not. That's one. And second. So I'm based in Pakistan, and I have a lot of research work ongoing over here as well. Does Columbia or are there other organizations, say perhaps based in the New York area, in the New Jersey area, that might potentially work with say if I come back to Pakistan after graduating from Columbia, would there be collaboration opportunities? Would there be research opportunities or other work opportunities perhaps with firms based in the US
And
in Pakistan?
Ahmed, could you also confirm your program because it helps the career team in terms of which?
Oh,
Yes.
it's MS in climate.
Does anyone else? I mean, I've been answering. I don't know if anyone else wants to take a stab, but um, the 20 hours a week for if you're MS in climate, the first summer for your practicum, it's not really a required summer, so you could actually work anywhere, and you can do it full time. So you could go back home if you wanted to. Your summers does not have courses that are required over the summer like the other two programs. So that first summer, if you do your internship over the summer, which is something we highly, highly recommend you do, you can work from anywhere, or go anywhere that summer because there are no courses that you have to take. It's kind of like a free summer except for doing your practicum. Um, I started to lose lose you
Oh, yeah.
because there
The
was a
question, the second part of your question was about like if you could work with companies that are based in both locations, right? Like Pakistan and in New York, New Jersey area.
Well, I'm based in Pakistan, so like I have a think tank running in Pakistan. So
Mm.
are there have you seen any companies that are based in New York that might be willing to say conduct research in the Pakistan area in the climate field and have that kind of opportunity?
I don't have like that specific example like that I can recall, but we have in general like worked with students who are interested in organizations in multiple regions. So we've done that before, like a student who wanted to be based in Berlin, and so we were able to find a think tank that was had an office in New York and in Berlin, and then when she spoke to the New York City office. They really liked her research idea and they set her up in Berlin. And so we have other examples of this where, depending on what your particular interests are, we can help you navigate that and figure out like who might have presence in multiple locations and would be interested in collaborating.
I just shared a website that Columbia Climate School hosts on research projects across the world that have been executed by a variety of research centers. And so it's literally a globe with yellow dots, and you can click on the different yellow dots. In fact, Pakistan does have, or forgive me, let's see here. Forgive me, I just said Pakistan. I see multiple in India and one in Afghanistan in particular. But you know what, Ahmed? Maybe you're the first to bring it to Pakistan. So if it's an enticing research project, let's see it happen, okay?
okay. So I think we'll close with that time. We've run overtime. Sorry, colleagues, for you have meetings next, but it's been great talking to all of you. I hope that this has been helpful. I hope to see you in person in the fall, every one of you. I hope you'll come and join us. We are excited to work with you. Uh, and feel free to email us with any further questions that you might have. Our emails are at the end of the slide deck. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, career
Bye.
Bye.
team,
Thank
and thank
Thank
you to all the
you.
students that joined.